to today's edition of CovInspiration with Dayo Israel. As usual, this is our June 12th series, and we're learning from the people that were at the forefront of the struggle to the Nigeria, for the democracy that we enjoy in Nigeria today. People who sacrificed their youth, their life, their resources, their energy, their ideas, and their intellect. They were tortured, they were abused, they were malnourished, they were in captivity, they were detained, they were arrested. Some even went on exile to pay the price. As a matter of fact, some like Elijah Kudrat Abiola and MKO Abiola paid the ultimate price for the democracy that we enjoy today. I have with me in the studio a journalist of repute, a professional in the media, a man of integrity and principle. We're going to come to that in a bit, who is also an alumni of the greatest Ife, a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and now the special advisor to the president of Nigeria on political matters, Senator Babafemi Ojudu. Distinguished senator, good to see you, sir. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. How's everything going, sir?
We are good. We are doing well. We are doing well. Pretty good.
Praise God. Praise God. I'm going to go straight into a lot of things because of the time. And I want you to pour down a lot for us. And you know, you're a journalist, so you have a lot that you're going to be able to say to us. So let me start from your time in the Concord. I read somewhere that you were in the Concord, and Chief MKO Abiola asked you to apologize to then General Ibrahim Babangida, for some reason in particular, and you said rather than resign to a dictator, you apologize to a dictator, you resign your job, and you resigned and went on to set up your own thing. That is an issue I think is of principle and of integrity. Can you tell us what exactly happened in that time, sir?
Yes, I was an assistant editor on the African Concord, the weekly magazine then, and my friend and brother, Mr. Bayo Nonuga, was the editor-in-chief of that publication. Then also with us was Mr. Dapolon Yomi, Kunle Ajibade, and Shere Kende. We meet every Sunday evening to discuss the material that will go into the following week's magazine. And that Sunday morning, I think there was a report in Daily Times where Babangida was quoted as having said that he still continued to wonder why the Nigerian economy has not collapsed. We now were saying, how could the president of the country be saying this kind of thing? We therefore then decided to look at the economy of Nigeria and look at the state governance and that period. So we assigned different aspects of the story to each and every of our reporters. So we came out the following week with a very comprehensive story on corruption, on the economy, on the military regime itself, on abuse of human rights and all of that. And we give the title on the cover page, "Has Babangida given up?" That got Babangida angry. The magazine came out on Monday. By Tuesday, the military men stormed the office, the large premises on the airport road in Ikeja, where African Concord was published. The National Concord was published. The Weekend Concord was published. And it also housed the big, massive bakery operation of MKO Abiola then. They stormed the place and shut it down. My instinct immediately after it was shut down was that I should challenge this in court. I doubled as the chairman of the NUJ at that period in Concord. So I went to see Chief Babafemi, and I told him that what has happened is the shutting of our office was unacceptable to me, and I would like to go to court. Chief Babafemi said, "Look, are you ready? Will you be ready to face the consequences?" I said, "Yes. I hope you will not back out along the way." I said, I will not in any way back out. And of course, yes, we went to court to challenge the closure of Concord Publications. And the thing was all over the media. And MKO Abiola then summoned me to his house and tongue-lashed me and said, "Look, why should you go to court? Is it your business? Do you know what it means? I'm trying to plead with this president, military president, and you are going to court. And I said, look, I didn't go to court on your behalf as a publisher. I didn't go to court as just a staffer of Concord. I went to court because my right to inform and be informed was violated. And I want to uphold my right, to being informed and to inform people. He was quite angry, and he said I should leave his house. I left, and he went, wrote in his handwriting a letter of apology to Babangida, and Babangida leaked it to Daily Times, and it came out on the front page of Daily Times. All efforts he made for Babangida to reopen the organization actually failed. And I think he picked up words from the inner circle of the then president of Babangida that unless and until we journalists who put the other story together apologized that the place was not going to be opened. So he now called myself and Bayo Onanuga to his house and said, young man, what you have done has caused a rift between me and my friend. Nonetheless, I want you to do me a favor. You guys are good writers, therefore, I want you to just do a paragraph or two of apology that you regretted your action, so that so that I can take it to him and he will open the premises. Myself and Bayo Onanuga looked at each other, and we just smiled, and we told him, okay, thank you. We are going to reflect on it. We'll go and write the letter of apology and bring it to you. So we went back to our office, to our homes, and then we drafted a very beautiful letter of resignation, and took it to Abiola, and dropped this in the house, without seeing him. He became, and of course, we gave copies to the media. He became a front page lead of all the papers in Nigeria that time in 1992. That was how we left Concord, and we became instant celebrity of a sort. Well, Kunle Ajibade, Sherekinde, and Dakwalon Yomi, immediately they saw that we have resigned. They too tendered the letter of resignation and left. And I made up my mind. I was done with journalism. That there is no media in Nigeria that can really contain the radicalism and all of that. Bayo Onanuga too said he was done, and that he will get a visa and leave Nigeria and go and live outside Nigeria. So I didn't know what to do. I was a bachelor. I had a pad in K2, the rent of which I have not paid for that month. But a very good friend of mine suddenly showed up, Mr. Debo Adeleke, and said, I love what you did. I'm so happy to be your friend. Therefore, and he wrote a check for 6 months' rent. I paid my rent.
Wow.
That period. So, and he said I should come and join him. He said I should come and join him in his business. He was a fish merchant then, and I joined him. I started selling fish, but I was not, I was not fulfilled. I just said, well, this is not my calling. I cannot be going from market to market supplying fish, counting money, very dirty money, day in, day out, and my clothes and body was smelling fish. I made some money, but again, I was not satisfied with myself. This was not my calling. So one day,
it wasn't about the money.
I went visiting Bayo Onanuga. It wasn't about the money. I went visiting Bayo Onanuga, and I told him, Bayo, why, is it not possible for us to do our own thing, have our own magazine, and all of that? And he said, why not? So as at that time, Sherekinde, Dakwalon Yomi, and Kunle Ajibade have been absorbed by African Guardian. They were already working with them. We then invited them to a meeting and said, well, we've come a long way. We seem to understand one another very well, and our philosophy and ideology appeared similar. And so we took off, and we started discussing the possibility of coming up with our magazine. Now, Dakwalon Yomi had a friend when he was in university in Ife, who is a chartered accountant, and inside the Wabasa. He said we should go and see him to see if he can do for us a business plan for setting up a media organization. A brilliant and hardworking chap, the officer wrote a superb document for us, and we started shopping for investors all over. With it, of course, we came up with an editorial policy similar to what we have done in African Concord, and also again, tailored after the independent newspapers in London. And then we started working and collecting materials. The daunting aspect of it was getting enough fund to run the business, to start the business. We went to a few friends. Babafemi was one of the people we went to. He gave us a check of 25,000 naira as his investment in the business. Then, of course, we went to the MD of a merchant bank then, who happened to have been a schoolmate to Bayo Ononuga. When we got to his office on Ikoyi, and we waited for almost 1 hour at his reception when he then asked us to come in. And we told him our mission. He tongue-lashed us. How could you come to me? You are fighting my friend, the president of Nigeria, and you want me to come and invest in your business? What kind of rubbish? Please get out of my office. we were dumbfounded. And Bayo was shaking. And I could see him almost crying, tapping on the back. And I said, don't worry, just it of our resolve. We'll go and look for some other people who may want to invest in us. There was a lawyer in Ibadan, a big time lawyer who is from my place, and we visited him more than 10 times. He kept giving us appointments, looking at a business plan, promising us. He will ask us to see him in Ibadan at 6 p.m. We leave Lagos at 5, we get to Ibadan. We'll see him at about 8. He will ask us to come back again. We will drive back to Lagos. At the end of the day, he didn't give us the time. We had quite a lot of challenge. Mr. Yemisi Shilon, who was working in Nigeria then, and who had encountered as a young reporter and had assisted, had called me and I said, look, young man, I've heard what you guys did, on principle. I'm so enamored by what you did. Let me know what you want to do. And we told him that we want to run a newspaper, a publication of ours. He brought out his check and gave us a check of 500,000 naira then. That was one of the major monies we received. Quite a lot of others, Begi Ojora, who is late now, and a number of other Nigerians, brought in some money to assist us, in setting up the paper. Interestingly, when the first edition we published in 1993 was about Omplu and the way he ran the dead neck. The man was very angry and he complained bitterly, and all of that. 3 months after we started operation, again we did another edition on Babangida, and our office was stormed again and shut down, by the same president that we ran away, that ran us out of Concord. From then till June 12, when the election was announced, it was one problem or the other, that Polor Yoba Ononuga, they were sent to jail in Ikoyi prison.
I was going to ask that. At what stage? I was going to ask that. At what stage did you start getting arrested? At what stage did you start building a prison profile?
Well, the thing is, after we left Concord, I think sometimes around April 1993, 3 members of our group, I think 4 members of our group were arrested. We did on Justice Olubani of the High Court of Lagos. The man got angry because we were critical of him, and he brought us into the courtroom and asked us to be remanded in the prison. Of course, all the radical lawyers in Nigeria then, Babafemi Falana, Komishola Oshobu, I think Osekume, all came down and they pleaded for us. Eventually, they came out. They came out, and but from that period up to 1997, I was arrested several times, close to 15 times, going in for 1 day, 2 days, a week, and until the ultimate time when I spent 9 months in detention. I think one of the most gruesome experience I had was when Sheyekinde and did a story on Miriam Abacha, the we call the story Miriam Abacha the unauthorized biography, where we investigated Miriam Abacha, up to when she was young, betrothed to one old man, ran away from the place to marry General Abacha and all of that. I think, the people in power were very angry. They stormed our office in Ogba, looking for the candidate to be arrested. And being the managing editor then, I owned up to be the managing editor and told them that Kennedy was not in the office. Of course, he was there. They then brought out all the staff, about close to 100 of my staff, lined them on the streets and asked me to identify them one after the other. Yeah, so I kept giving names to each and every one of them. When I got to Kennedy, I gave him an Igbo name, which of course was not so that they would not identify him. They didn't know him, they only know
and it was not the day of Twitter or Google or anything.
No, it wasn't. So he escaped that, and as soon as that ended, they took me away and said I should follow them. They took me to Changisha. Obasa followed me in another car, and when we got there, we were let in, and they immediately sent Obasa back and asked me to frog jump in the premises for a while. At the point I collapsed, then they took me into the cell with so many air conditioner. The place was chilled like a cold room.
Wow.
They stripped me to my pants, and one guy came in from time to time to slap and beat me up. So by around 4 a.m. The following day, I was almost fainting, tired and very cold, almost dying. Then one of the officers who kept looking at me at that period came in and said, "How did I feel?" I said, "Well, I'm dying. I think I may have to die in your hand." Then he ran. He was afraid, ran out looking for their lawyer. When they could not find their lawyer, he came back and said, who is my doctor?" I mentioned one Dr. Bode, who had a clinic that we have retained somewhere in Oregon. And they came with a car, a 504 station wagon. They had to wear my clothes. They put me in the car and drove me to the hospital. That was about 5:30 a.m. When they banged the gate and the nurses came out, they just dropped me and fled. So I was in the hospital, I think, for about 3 days at that clinic. After the stint in the hospital, I went back to the office and told my story and experience to my colleagues and told them that if Cheyekande had been found that day, they would probably have killed him. They were so that I could write that kind of story on the president's wife. So I asked Cheyekande to take a leave for about 3 or 4 weeks and allow the incident to die down. So he left. I think about 3 weeks after he was away, he came back with his letter of resignation that I will not be able to continue with that kind of journalism. And he then batted what today is known as Lagos. What's it called now? Lagos. What's the name of the magazine?
I think it's not City People. City People.
City People, yes, City People. So that was what gave back to the idea of City People. So we continued. But meanwhile, earlier we had gotten word from friends of the magazine who knew Al Mustafa, the chief security officer then, that we could write whatever we like on Abacha, on any army officer or whatever, but we should not touch Mustafa or Miriam Abacha. That if we do, we'll be dead. So that was that experience. The other experience, which sent me behind bars was when we ran a story. There was this story on Ray Power that a guy came in from America and came in late in the night because they had a delay, in connecting in Amsterdam, and they arrived late. His family members who had come to pick him had left because they thought he was not coming again. It was not a time where you call people to inform them about your movement. There was little or no telephone communication at that period. So he arrived at Mohammed International Airport and asked somebody a taxi driver to take him to the nearest police station so that he could stay there till the following morning when he would be able to contact his family. So somehow they lured him to say out of the station, some policemen, to take him to stay in an hotel and all that. And I think he was murdered, and his luggage was collected from him and all of that. Then he happened to be a
Wow.
relation of a military officer. The military officer stormed the station the following day after investigation revealed that that was the last place he was seen, and he ransacked the police station, beat up officers and all of that. So we picked the story from Ray Power, and we ran it in PM News. So the police came for me and took me to the police headquarters then on Moloney Street. From there, I was taken to Babish in public police station on Victoria Island, where I was locked up, in a small cell with the toilet overspilling with feces, overlooking the cell where I was locked. And interestingly, when I was going to be thrown into the cell, they told the criminals locked up in the cell to give me the beating of my life when I got in there.
Wow.
And as soon as I was taken in, they asked me who I was and what my offense was, because the
Brought you
policemen said
there.
that they should beat me. And I told them that I'm a journalist, that this is what I wrote and all of that and all that. Of course, they now said I should start screaming. My head, my stomach, this and that. While they were beating the wall, they were not.
Wow.
And I kept screaming. I spent a week. I spent a week in that place with common criminals. And an uncle of mine, Shola Ogujakin, was a top person in mobile producing at that time. Made some contacts in the police, and that was how I was released. So it was a very, very trying period for all of us. Some fled at the point on exile. Bagauda Kalto, my colleague and reporter, who was based in Kaduna, was arrested over that Miriam Abasha story, and he was tortured to death. Quite a number of times too. We normally fled to Ghana. From Ghana, we leave for America and stay some time there and allow things to cool down. Interestingly, at those times when we run away from Nigeria, we always find accommodation in Bola Ahmed Tinubu's house on.
I was going to come to your relationship with Asiwaju. Is it Cavendish?
Yes.
Is it Cavendish or Regent?
Is it what?
Is it the London one? Cavendish or Regent?
Not in London now. It's not in London. Not in London. I'm talking of America, Washington D.C. He has a house. He had a house then, somewhere in Washington D.C., not too far from Howard University. We used to call it House of Exile. Also Yamedan, who is the Hollywood movie maker, he was there at a point in time. Luka Gani in Fela Nozovis at the time. Kimbayo Nonuga too inhabited that place at the time. Same with Yomi when they were exiled. Journalists were driven out to exile, found accommodation at that period. You call on him and then say, okay, move to the house, go and stay there. While he was living in exile in London at that time.
Let me go to Asiwaju.
One of the occasions when yes.
I wanted to zoom in deeper into Asiwaju. What are some of the roles that Asiwaju played in the pro-democracy movement? Can you tell us some of the roles that he played? Let's zoom in deeper on him.
Yes. He played quite, a very remarkable role. He was quite what you can call a leg man in the movement. Initially, after the June 12th annulment of the election of MKO Abiola, he was a mobilizer. He was a funder. He was the contact person with almost all of the groups, from the Oil Workers Union to National Association of Nigerian Students to civil society groups. He had a very good relationship with Bekor and Sonkuti, Dr. Fashe, Femi Falana, and several others. And he had this very good relationship too with those of us journalists who are pro-democracy. And you know, he played a very, very, very big role that at a point he became a target of the military, and he fled Nigeria. Even before fleeing Nigeria, he was at a point arrested and locked up at Alagmo with with two of his colleagues who are senators then. And we used to go and visit him there then, and we used to take instruction from him on how to mobilize for demonstration, block Toad Mainland Bridge, write graffitis on the streets of Lagos and all of that. So he was quite a very courageous person who was ready to give all he had to the process of having democracy. Now, when he fled Nigeria, I went to America. On my way back, I stopped by in London to see him in his house in a flat which he occupied then in somewhere in London. While I was there, he told me that I should see him to see a lawyer a white lawyer who has some good information about Abacha and some of the money he stole at that time. So I followed him there, and we met this Jewish lawyer who kept reeling out, where Abacha kept his money, the banks, his assets abroad, where they are located in Paris, in Germany, America, and all of those kind of things. I kept taking mental notes. I didn't know that Ashwaju had a tape in his pocket. At the time, he excused us to go to the toilet. We didn't know that at that time, we use cassettes. He went to turn the cassette to the other side of it, so that so to change the tape. And when he was changing the tape, he tried to flush the toilet so that the lawyer we went to visit would not know that he was recording. He had to tell me all of this after we led the lawyer. So we go back to his house after we got all of this information, and he brought out the tape and said, "This is the bomb that we bomb Abacha." And I said, he should give it to me so that I can run home and police. He said, if you do, you will be dead. So we ate. After we ate, he dozed off on his couch, and I picked the tape and I put it in my pocket. And
wow.
I woke him up. I said goodbye to him and left. The following day, I took a flight and I came back. I came back to Nigeria, and I wrote a very detailed story. After doing further investigation and talking to a few people on
and confirming that they were real.
Nigeria. Yes. And we wrote a story on how Abacha looted Nigeria. So after writing that story, we published it. It came out. We got interestingly, Dia then contacted a friend of his, Shifolowu, who was once chairman of a mainland local government, to warn us, to tell me to get out of Nigeria within the next 12 hours or I'll be dead, that they have asked some soldiers to go and eliminate me. So that night, when I got the information, I fled Nigeria through the border. I went to the Benin Republic. From Benin Republic, I moved to Ghana. From Ghana, I left for Kenya. I left for Kenya. I was in Kenya, and of course, again, there was this Kenya conference on journalism in Kenya, which I addressed while I was in Kenya. After addressing that conference, I told myself I could not stay in exile, that I would have to return to Nigeria. Everybody pleaded with me not to go. When I got back to Ghana, the Ghana Association of Journalists also came to me in my hotel room with a friend of mine who's a journalist in America, Dr. Bumi Aborishade. They pleaded with me that I should stay over in Ghana, that they believed that if I go to Nigeria, I was going to be either killed or arrested and detained. But I told them that since Bayo Onanuga is already in exile, that Koron Yomi is in exile, I would like to return to Nigeria and face the consequence. I would not like to abandon our young journalists who are carrying on in Nigeria. So the morning after I arrived in Ghana, I chartered a cab to take me to Aflao, the border between Ghana and Togo. Halfway between Nigeria and Aflao, the car I traveled in broke down, and it took a long time before I could get another one to take me to Aflao. I got to Aflao, a bit, around evening time, and I took another cab to take me to the other side of the border in Aflao to to Benin Republic. Again, you know, halfway between Benin and Togo, the tank, the fuel tank of the cab I took started leaking, and we had to stop, you know, to mend it and then continue. By the time I got to Benin Republic,
was that not a sign from
2
God?
days, and I told
Was that not
yeah,
a
it was
sign
a
from
sign.
God that
Honestly,
you should
it
go
was
back?
really a sign that that trouble was coming. So I then looked at it. I wouldn't want to go into any hotel in Benin Republic because just a week before, the editor-in-chief of Razor newspaper was captured there, drugged and bagged and dumped in the boot of a car, and was driven to Nigeria and jailed in Apapa military base. So I mean, that time the Republic was filled up with agents of government and goons and all of that. And I said, I'm going through the bush could also be dangerous at the time. So I told myself I was going to take a chance by going through the regular border in Badagry. So I took a cab, you know, and I joined other people inside that cab at about 8 p.m., 8:30. And I rode to the border. You know, when you get to the border, there is the official and formal way of entering into Nigeria. There is the one behind, you know, if you don't have the papers. I decided not to go through the official one. I tried to walk like every other locals to go through the back one. As I stepped to the place, somebody pulled my my shirt and said, welcome to Nigeria, Mr. Ojudu. And that,
Wow.
and that was how I was arrested. How I was arrested in November 17th.
So they were waiting for you.
They were waiting. I think they had information one way or the other. That was my way, you know. So they arrested me, took me to a small office where I met some young ladies sitting down. I think they were arrested for being cross-border prostitutes, you know. So they kept me there for like 45 minutes. I sat down with them, and at that time I kept thinking, you know, this may be my last day on earth, and people need to know that these people have arrested me. I then requested a pen from one of those ladies. I wrote my name on it, wrote the name of some of my colleagues and the number of my office, and that, you know, they should please, when they are released, call them to say that they saw me arrested at Seme border, and I was taken away by the security. So they took the paper, they hid it, and shortly after, you know, some men came. They took me away and they put me in a vehicle, a jeep, and drove me towards Badagry town. At the point after Badagry, they drove me to somewhere I didn't know. It was a 2-story building. They took me upstairs. I got there and I told them, I said, look, gentlemen, don't be funny. If you think that my colleagues, you know, and competitors don't know where I am, you'll be joking. If they know that I'm already in your hand because I've given my name and telephone number and the address of where my colleagues will be contacted to ladies that I sat down with. They were angry. They then gave me, you know, slaps on my cheeks and, you know, got me beaten. And then, of course, they left me in a room there, and I could hear them make frantic calls on their walkie-talkie, you know, and all of that. So at about 12 midnight, they came again to pick me, and then drove me from Badagry to Shangisha, and you know, got to Shangisha, you know, about 2 or 3 a.m. and, you know, they kept me in a room and asked a young officer to watch over me. And that was how, you know, the young officer looked at me and said he knows me, and that a brother of his, you know, was my colleague who is, you know, in the news, and that he will pass the word on when he leaves duty on that morning to let the brother know that they've arrested me. So that was how by 6 a.m. I was taken from Shangisha. I was taken to the Ikoyi Awolowo Road, where you know, by around 8-9 a.m. the guy came in to interrogate me, and he was, you know, spitting in my face, abusing me and calling me all manners of names. They had my luggage with them. They had my address book and my notebook. They have gone through and started asking me relationship with this and that. You know, that time I stored the Ashiwaju's number on my address book as BAT, B-A-T, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Then I translated BAT. I translated BAT to Adon, which is the Yoruba word for
I know, I
battery.
understand, I
So
understand.
when they saw Adon, they asked me who is Adon. I said that's my uncle in the kitty who lives in London. It's Adon, not Adon. It's Adon. So they tried to inquire if I had a meeting with Choyinka, if I this and that, and of course, you know, they met their match. You know, they shouted at me. I shouted at them. They said they were going to shoot me. I said, well, they should go ahead and shoot me. At the point, Sakari came and bullied me, the police officer who was later dismissed for his activities during that period, and tried to bully me. At the point, he put the gun to my ear and said they was going to blow it. I said, look, go ahead and blow up my head, and you will not do that again tomorrow. You do it to another person. And he started abusing me, you Yoruba bastard, this and that. Your people are bad. He said, look, if I've offended, if I've done anything wrong, talk to me. Don't insult my tribe. Don't insult my race. You know, this is part of the problem we are having in Nigeria, where you hate, you know, other groups in the country and you behave in such a despicable manner. So we had shouting match several times. So they finally locked me up in a solitary cell on Awolowo Road. You know, 3 days after I got in, I had diarrhea, very bad diarrhea, and I banged the door of the cell and I called attention. I told them I had diarrhea, they should get me medication. They refused. You know, when I thought I would die and things became critical for me, I just, you know, in my solitude, remember a book I'd read. I think it was by Morarji Desai, former Prime Minister of India. The book is titled The Water of Life, and that was about urine therapy. You know, yeah, he wrote quite a lot about urine therapy, and that he always drank his urine when he woke up in the
Don't tell
morning
me
to
you
drink
drank
all
urine, sir.
So I then, you know, inside the cell, I collect water. I collect water inside Ragoli's bottle, and that's what was my pillow because I was sleeping on the bare floor. So I poured off the water and I pee inside and I drank it. Incidentally, you know, either miraculously or whatever it
Holy
worked.
mother of
And
God.
because I didn't want to, I was trying not to die in that cell. I was determined to live. So I drank it and I slept all day, and the diarrhea just went that way. So I think 2 days after,
Wow.
they came and moved me to Inter Center. Inter Center was a facility built almost in the midst of, you know, Ikoyi cemetery in Ikoyi. You know, when you are in Inter Center, you hear people who come to bury people in the night. You hear people, you know, who come to do rituals and all of that. So I was there. You know, I met quite a number of other
Distinguished,
persons there.
sir.
Obasanjo was there.
Distinguished.
Yes.
The Honorable
Yes,
Commissioner for
I'm
Science
listening.
and Tech, Alhaji Akim Fan, he just confirmed that he was in Washington, D.C. when you, Mr. Bayo, Mr. Dakwa, and Luke were living in Gresham Place off Georgia Avenue. Mr. Akim
Oh,
Fan, the
Gresham, yes,
Commissioner
that's
for Science
Gresham
and
place.
Tech later.
Yes. That's it. That's it. Gresham place. Yes, that's true. So I was in that cell. Ambassador was there before me. I actually occupied the cell from where it was moved, I think, to Just Prison. Myself and I think about 4 other staff of the news were arrested shortly before I was arrested. 4 of my staff were arrested and they were kept there too. That was also where some alleged coup plotters were earlier kept before they were moved to prison. So I spent some time there sleeping on the bare floor, you know, suffered insomnia, and
Wow.
you know, my sinus deteriorated, and you know, we were fed on a ration of 40 naira per day, 20 naira for breakfast and 20 naira for
Wow.
dinner. People, you know, the officers go to Obalende to pick for us 10 naira, about 10 naira meat. When we want to buy soap to bath, they will not buy meat, they will buy soap. I want to watch the clothes. I wore a pair of pajamas for 9 months, just one pair of pajamas, not pajamas now. A pair of kaftan, rather, I want to say kaftan. The one I wore when I was arrested was what I wore for 9 months. By the time I was released, it was already
Wow.
torn. I had
Were you
shoes
washing
there.
it and
Yes,
and
the way you
rewearing
wash
it?
it, yes, the way you wash it is that when you want to wash, you wear only the trouser and wash the top. When the top is dry, you wear the top and then pull the trouser and wear the trouser. That was what we did
Wow.
all through. And when you want to shower, they give you water. You stand in front of the cell in the open, and you pour water on your body. So in my own case, for the first week of my arrest, they said I should not be allowed to brush my teeth. Incidentally, there was a lady from Sierra Leone who was detained there. She had some kind of freedom. She will have been brought out to bath before us at around 4 a.m. By the time we are coming out to bath, she will be sitting out taking fresh air. She had then sent for
Wow.
a brush and toothpaste, and she would just smuggle it into my hand while I'm passing, so that I could brush it. And as I was going back to my cell, I would drop it for her again to keep for me for the next day.
Wow.
So that was how I lived over a long period. There was no book to read, no newspaper to read, no radio, no visit by family members. It became very tough at the point that for 2-3 weeks on, I couldn't sleep for 1 hour. I had a very, very bad insomnia. And I started pulling at my beard, pulling the gray hair, putting them on one side, pulling the black one, putting them on one side, and counting them, from time to time, just to keep myself sane.
Wow.
So it's and of course, trying to remember incidents in my life from the moment I was conscious, and when I went to primary school, secondary school, cell life, solitary one for that matter. It's a very good moment,
Hey.
to catch up with
So,
all those things
let me ask
I've
you,
gone in my
sir.
life. Yes.
We've had different people on the show, and they've told us different stories. But I said it that
Yes.
as a journalist, I know that you will paint the picture well for us. But before you continue, sir,
Yes.
do you think this
Yes.
generation is ungrateful? Because if you look at all the sacrifices that you guys made, people just think that, okay, coming on Twitter and coming on Facebook and just commenting, we don't understand that it costs some people something for the democracy that we are enjoying. Do you think that this
Sometimes
generation is ungrateful?
well, again, they don't know the history. Our history books don't teach them these things. Again, we also have failed by not even having museums to memorialize this, so that young people can go there and look at it. Many of the people who are active on Twitter today may not even know who Abiola is, may not know who Fela Nicola Pukuti is, may not know who Akaba Shorun is, may not know
Yes.
Kwame Shola Oshobu. They didn't know anything about those struggles. So they think that by being able to tweet and write on Facebook, they know everything. They will insult you, they will abuse you, and there's nothing they will not do. You just try your possible best to educate them. I was engaged this morning for hours trying to educate Shehu Anikula Bukuti when he was almost when he was almost insulting me, and that kind of thing. So it's not their fault. We have not done much to to really educate them, to get them to be aware of the history of this country, right from the colonial period to the struggle for independence, the civil war, the military regimes, and the struggle for democracy again under the military G12 thing. We've not done much. If you go to America, periodically, young kids are taken to museums. They are made to study and learn about their history. They know their heroes. They know everybody. But there is nothing like that in our system here, and it's not good for us. So that's why you have all these sudden heroes who think that they are the best thing that has happened to Nigeria. You do look at them and you just begin to wonder. Again, I think we need to introduce the historic history, in our schools, in our curriculum, in a very strong way. A nation that doesn't teach the future generation the history, we of course, lose quite a lot. And it's going to be unfortunate, if people do not know what people went through to arrive at this democracy. These days you pick up your phone, you call a young speaker to talk to him or to advise him. It's not even picking. You can't reach some people. Some of the governors we have at that are just, some of them as maybe students or universities at that time, student activists, or some ran away, and some were abroad and they were placard, and they think they are bigger than those of us who sacrifice much for democracy. And the fact that quite a number of people who inherited our struggle did not participate they also allowed them to take it very seriously. We made a strategic error in 1999 when
People who
Chief
participated
Ganifa,
in the
who Chief
people who
Ganifa
inherited
told us that we should not
the
participate
struggle.
in the yes, while elements who never participated in the struggle, So we were playing the ostrich. We played the ostrich in 1999 because Chief Ganifa said, any one of us who go to participate, is a traitor. So people like Falan Olisa Bakoba, several people who have gone to contest election, become governor, become senator, House of Representatives, and all of that, shun that process. It is the elements. Some of them who are in London shoplifting, doing all kinds of funny jobs in London, came back and contested and became inheritors of that struggle. And that was how we missed it. Well, that was how Nigeria again missed it. If the people who fought for democracy had found themselves governing in most of the states, and found themselves making laws, this would probably have been much different today. But that was it. That was indeed. So that was that. But let me say that kaftan I wore for 9 months is in a museum in America, the epicenter of Washington D.C. It's been there since that period. It was they called me, they requested for it, and it's displayed there proudly since that time among some of their memorabilia. So we went through a lot. I mean, I remember Femi Falana being arrested and detained several times. Chief Ganifa and me being arrested and detained several times. I remember sometimes he was taking to Gashua. I had to travel to Gashua with his wife to go and locate him. And we went through very excruciating conditions to locate him and to escape being arrested. And, a lot of experiences. And when the 12 was annulled, and the man who won the election was the man who we fought with in Concord. We came together and said, look, we fought in principle, and Abiola's election had been annulled. We must fight for him again in principle. And we supported him. We gave all that we could to ensure that we kept that incident, in the minds of the people. But one thing that surprised us, was when democracy came and the leaders of Afenifere were pushing their children here to be this, to be that, to be minister, to be commissioner. They never remembered all the children of other people who suffered, who were in jail, who were in exile, who were tortured and all that. I remember going to one of the leaders one time, I said, sir, is this fair? There are so many of our colleagues who are suffering. Many of them don't have jobs. Some of them are still mentally, challenged because of what we went through. Now we have democracy. None of you are even none of you even think about them. All of you are thinking about your children. And he said, we thought you guys were doing your professional calling, your professional job and all of that. You are not politicians. Of course, I just shook my head. And without journalists, how would the struggle, have been made known to people? How will the struggle have been sustained? So it takes the effort of journalists in Tell magazine, in the news, in Tempo, in several other publications, the Punch, Vanguard, and all of that. The Guardian, these papers were shot, some of them twice, just because they were on the side of the people, But it's only, and I want to say here that it was only Tinubu of every one of them that remembered everyone who participated in that struggle. So when
because it was also a rallying point.
Yes, it was a rallying point. He remembered everyone, and he tried in his own little way to compensate people. When he became governor, well, of course, I participated in his campaign very well at the high level. I was the chairman of his inauguration committee, and also at that time, I acted. I was acting as the note taker in his appointment committee at that period. So we worked together very closely, and we became comrades and became allies. We see him as our brother.
Can you talk about your fight with Ganifa Tinubu?
Yes. I had a very good relationship with Chief Ganifa that dated back to 1977, when I was in my final year in secondary school. My father came to school one day and said there was an advert in the newspaper asking people to write in for a 1 year scholarship. I wrote in and I was asked to come and do an interview in Akure. I went to Akure for my deputy and I was selected as one of the 10 winners in the Southwest. I think 10 winners, yes, in Southwest at that time. From that, began my relationship with Babafemi. I kept in touch with him all through my days in the university. As radical students, we used to invite him to the campus to give us lectures and all of that. When I left the university too, I became one of the regular callers in his chambers in Antony Village. So anytime he goes into any struggle, you always see me by his side, And as I said earlier on, when we mooted the idea of going to court when our office was shot in Concord, I mean, it was the man I ran to, and he filed the case for me without taking a dime. And when we wanted to establish our own paper, it was one of the people that gave us a check of 5,000 naira. When then Tinubu became governor, and there was this story that Tinubu didn't go to university, it was for us laughable because we knew he did. So what we did as soon as that thing became very loud was Mr. Nonuga left for Chicago State University to research Tinubu's background. He went to the department where he studied, collected all of the documents, interviewed some of his lecturers who were still there, and everybody talked to some of the people who are his classmates, who are Americans and all of that. And he came back and we did a report, At that time, Babafemi was everywhere, battling Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all of that. So when he saw that we were on the side of Tinubu, not because we had a relationship with him, but because we knew the truth, he was angry. And he called me and said he was disappointed. That how could you not join me in this battle? How could you not queue behind me? How could you not, Babafemi is always very emotional when it comes to what he believes in, and he was, and he said, look, gentlemen, I don't want to relate with you again. Our friendship is finished. In fact, the money I invested in your organization, I want it back. I just went back to the office. I issued a check for 25,000 naira and I sent it to him.
Wow.
Which
wow.
was but again, you could understand. I love him. I appreciated him. He's a man of principle. He's a man who put all his energy into whatever he believed in. So it's it's from time to time we continue to meet either in court premises or sometimes find time to visit him. But we never became as close as we used to be after the Bola Tinubu's incident.
Wow. Let me move forward quickly, sir. While we're talking about Chief Babafemi, I want to talk about the role of the Southwest as a bloc. Was this all because you mentioned, for example, that the police officer called you a Yoruba bastard? Was June 12th a Southwest struggle? What were also the roles of some of the Southwest leaders? And also, what was the role? You talked a lot about the role of the media, the other Southwest leaders, and the Southwest as a bloc in its entirety.
Yes. That has been part of the history of Nigeria. When Nigerians want to fight collectively, those they want to fight, we find a way to divide them, with ethnicity and religion. I think when the June 12 matter first came up, some of the people who stood resolutely and for June 12 and even lost his commission because of it was Colin Abubakar Dangiwa Umar, who is not a Southwest person. He was very principled in his resolve to ensure that June 12 was de-annulled. And quite a lot of other people from Southeast, from the North. Brother Musa, for example, was for June 12 to be de-annulled. But as time goes on, the military, of course, woke up its propaganda machine and then begin to propagate the idea that it's just a Southwest thing. Before you know it, people are bought into that. Southwest has been now isolated. But again, who cares? What is right is right. What is good is good. So we continued. Then of course you hear the talk about Lagos, Ibadan Press, and all of those things, and that's what we did in this instance. A lot of Northerners voted for Abiola. In fact, he won. He defeated his opponent in Kano, in the ward of his opponent in Kano. He won in the East, with a landslide. He won across the country. So Abiola was not even pushed forward by Yorubas. Abiola was, I mean, if you know the history of that period, because of his opposition to Babafemi Awolowo, most Yorubas never cared about Abiola. It took a lot of persuasion, of their friend at the progressive camp, to support him. So it wasn't as if, that the people fought that battle because they were Yoruba. No, I don't believe so. They fought the way they fought. When Alhaji Shugaba Rahman, the Speaker of Borno State House Assembly, was deported, and when they said he became critical of the government, he was deported. They said he was from a Chad Republic. The Southwest, the media, Shugaba Awolowo took up the battle. He appointed a lawyer, Chijioke Ajayi, to proceed to Borno, and I think Olaniwan Ajayi to go to Borno and go and fight for him. Shugaba, isn't from any of the Yoruba states. He's a Kanuri man, and he was being oppressed. He was oppressed by a Kanuri person. Yet the Southwest stood for him. I don't think, that was a tribal battle. No, it was a pan-Nigeria battle. But again, it was easy at that period for the military authority to buy up a few people who began to sing the song that Yorubas have personalized or have taken over the Jewish church logo and all of that. Yeah.
So Abel Nicologbo was reminding me that you were talking. I said Distinguished was making a point regarding Asiwaju's decision to compensate people that struggled along with him. Please let him conclude.
Yes.
Okay. I think he wanted you to conclude on some of these that Asiwaju had done to compensate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some were appointed into government. I mean, Billy struggled with him. I mean, was part of the struggle, and Okoyemi Bamidele was part of the struggle. I mean, I was offered to come and serve, and I told him that he needs a friend outside there who can come in from time to come and to talk to him. Those are the kind of things I meant, and we became friends, and we. We did a lot of things together. I mean, he supported us with adverts. Again, even when he was abroad, when he was on exile, and the organization was strangulated, and Ofonagoro came out to say that no government official or department should buy our magazine, and we no longer could pay school fees. I mean, could pay salaries of our worker. He called a friend of his in Lagos to sell one of his houses and give us the money to pay salaries, to buy a printing machine, and all of that. For me, that is a man who believes in you, and he was ready to give all to you. So that's. I remember when he was governor, my wife and my two sons, traveled to US on holiday. I was in Nigeria. My son then, my younger son, had malaria, and he was taken to the hospital. It became a big issue, and I was called. I was preparing to go abroad when he learned about it and said, "Look, Femi, I learned that you are having this." I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you a doctor? Why are you going to America?" He said, "Let me handle it." And he called his friends who are doctors, who are Nigerians there. I said, "Look, go and take care of that boy." They took care of the boy. They took him after the guy was healed. They took him to a mall and shopped for him and his brother and all of that. I mean, that's the way a friend. That's I can never forget that kind of. There's nothing he can do to me today that will make me forget that kind of help. The boy that he rescued will have died. That he rescued that day is a chartered accountant now, and is working with J.P. Morgan in UK. So I mean, we forever remember that kind of kindness, and I knew that he must have done that to several people. Each time I go to him and say, "Look, this person needs this help." I remember Fatai Rolling Dollars. We saw a magazine, a specialized magazine, wrote a story on Fatai Rolling Dollars. I asked my guy to call it and report that story in the news. After that, I went to him. I said, "Look, this Fatai Rolling Dollars, has been a good performer. He had the good work. The man is suffering in his old age." He said we should not bring him. Right from there, and then we got a flat for him and gave him money. And that was how Fatai Rolling Dollars came back to become a big musician at the tail end of his life. One day he called me and said I should come and see him. I went to see him in Ikoyi. He gave the Sun newspaper to me. I said, look at this picture of the house where late Fajuyi, the man who died for Nigeria, where the wife lives. If this house should collapse, what happened? Now all of us will be guilty. He asked me to go and look for an accountant, an architect, to draw a plan, that can, which 25 million naira could build. And I went and called a friend of mine, architect Gundipe, and they do a plan. We built a house. We put the old woman there, and that was where the woman lived till he died. That house is still an edifice in Adrekis today. That's the kind of man he is. I'm not saying he doesn't have his own faults. We sometimes disagree, and I mean that should be the normal.
It's natural, yes.
Yes, it's natural. But again, you can't take those things away from him. If you call him and say somebody is sick and desperately need help, he will ask you how can he help, and he will quickly respond and help the person. Many people like that.
I was sent when I was going to university. After being one day governor, he gave me a scholarship to go to university to study law in England.
So it's that's it. So several people can tell you such stories, and he did that because all of our comrades, most of our comrades, who worked with him at that time, benefited one way or the other from his generosity and his kindness. One thing you cannot take away from him is his kindness. Yeah.
Wow. I want to understand more about the guerrilla.
I remember one day. Yes. Guerrilla. Yes. Again, because of our being critical of government, we were always being sought for. We were always being arrested. Our office was always being sealed up, and all of those things. So at the point, they banned our publications, and we continued to publish. Then they went on NTA and Radio Nigeria to declare us wanted. When that happened, we knew that we could no longer publish the news. In fact, our last edition of the news, before we started publishing to Tempo, was an interview with the then General Babangida, where he gave an account of why Babangida was treating him as a military head of state at that time. It was a very detailed interview, a very explosive interview. And we were printing it at Concord Press on the Solo Road when soldiers stormed the place one night and packed almost 130,000 copies of the magazine, almost ready for distribution, and took that away. So after then was when now declared us wanted. We could no longer publish the news. That was when we now resorted to publishing a tabloid, which we called Tempo at that time. So we had no office, we had no printing place. We had to now again be meeting from one corner of Lagos to the other. Sometimes we gather at the stadium, pretend we were watching a football match. We sit together, we discuss our story ideas. Sometimes in some corners of Ojota, in the house rented by Sherekande's brother. Sometimes we even went to Shagam. The retired principal, accommodated us in Shagam, where we met for almost about 3 weeks, planning our magazines and all of that. We were in several places, and a friend of an auntie, gave me a room in an hotel in Iju area where I hid for some time. I had a lot of places where I hid from the military authorities searching for me and for other colleagues of ours. So we enter into mode where we walk on the street, unknown and unrecognized, while we continue our job. Sometimes we ask editors or reporters to come and drop their stories for us at the bus stop. We collect it and we will go our own way. Some of our staff did not even know where we produced that magazine. At the time when the search became very, when it was tough for us to exist, we went to the center of a Lagos Island, in a shop on one story building where nobody could even expect that would be. That was where we had our computers. That was where we sneak into with the story submitted to me from one corner or the other to, our dedicated staff who are relocated to that place. They never go home. We type it out, we lay the pages, somebody will come and collect it, we take it to the printers, they will print it, some other person will collect it from the printers. We will then try to circulate it around Nigeria. We were using the vehicles of Daily Times, of Guardian, when they pack their magazine and super powers will be under their own, they will circulate for us across the country. So it is that attitude of moving around, not being located, going from place to place, acting like guerrilla. That was how the word guerrilla, the phrase guerrilla journalism, and I think quite a lot of studies have been done by academics. We have also Dr. Professor Adbawi, who is a professor in Oxford, has also written a book on us on that process, how we operated that thing at that time.
So we can say that you have also gotten your June 12th struggle compensation by going to the Senate. Is that what your foray into politics was about?
No, that certainly was not a compensation. No, I wouldn't say as a compensation. I never thought of ever going into politics. In fact, I had a disdain, for it. I mean, I thought, I can't beg. I can't beg for anything. I can't beg for votes. I mean, I was a bit haughty about going to ask people for anything. So, but again, you continue to investigate. You write editorials. You write expose on politicians. They are not doing this well. They are not doing that well. At the point, I just said, if we claim to know how to do it, why don't we go in and participate? That was how I resolved in 2010 to go into active politics. And the first person I went to meet was Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I told him that I want to go into politics. And he said, I'm happy now. I've always asked you to do so. You've said, you've always said no, you won't. What will you want to do? I said, I wanted to go to the Senate. He said, okay, fine. You will go to the, I will support you. I then went to Chifa Babalala too in Adrek. I said, the way of Adrek, I told them I wanted to go into politics. They said, that exactly is the right thing for you to do. So in 2011, I contested to go to the Senate to represent the Central District, and I became a senator.
Fantastic. And I think you've also been.
But again, when I got to Senate, I mean, my temperament, was different from that of everyone there. I couldn't I couldn't stomach some of the things I saw there. And by the time I spent 2 years, I was tired and I was done. And I kept telling myself that,
wow,
I would not dare to go back to the Senate. And I never attempted to go back to Senate after the first time.
Wow.
Because again, what can you change as a minority? Very, very, very thin minority. I mean, while I was there, David Mark was president of the Senate. I've had brushes with David Mark as a journalist over the divorce, a very protracted divorce with his wife in England. We have published stories that I didn't like. We have published stories, on him when he was minister. So he made up his mind to have it back on me. So he repressed me, never allowed me to talk. Again, he kept telling people that I was in the Senate as a small twist, So you raise up your hand, you raise up your leg, you want to say something, the man will not listen to you, and that kind of thing. So for me,
but now that APC is in the Senate,
what?
That, now that APC is in charge of the Senate, I'm sure it will have been a different case entirely.
It will have been a different case. Maybe it will have been a different case entirely. So it wasn't that, it frustrated me now. But again, there are a lot of things I saw there which didn't go with my conscience and my principles. And I just said, look, I'm also not going to be able to achieve much here. Again, everybody back in your constituency wants to bring back home. They don't care whether you steal the money or not. Just bring the money. Just bring the money. Share the money. And this doesn't go with who I am. And I just said, before my personality is distorted completely, let me get out of here. So that was how I decided not to go.
When I was trying to read your Instagram today, I noticed you put Senator Federal of Nigeria 2011 to 2015, and in brackets you add no more a senator. Yes. Is there a reason for that?
Well, I mean, when they see you and you say you're a senator, then people see a thief. Somebody who is stealing their money. All through the 4 years I spent in the Senate was the worst years of my life. When you wake up, you put on your TV, you are with your children, and people are calling you thief. You pick up the newspaper, you are reading it, you are seeing yourself being abused as a looter, thief, earning all this money and that kind of thing. I got depressed. And I said, look at myself and say, am I part of the people that have been called all these negative names after all I've gone through in life, So for me, the 4 years I spent in the Senate, I could see as the worst years of my life. Yeah.
Wow. And you've also paid it forward because the chairman of my board, Honorable Wahab Alawiye King, talks about
Yes,
you a
yes,
lot and is always celebrating and, talking about Ojudu.
yes,
Is there a reason for that? What was behind that?
yes. That's a good brother of mine. I think Alawiye King came back a lady on LTV8 at that time brought him to me that I should introduce him to Ashiwaju. So I immediately took him to Ashiwaju as I introduced him to Ashiwaju as my brother, a Lagosian who want to go into politics, and I want him to mentor him for me. And he accepted him, began to mentor him. He has become a big player in Lagos now. He was in the House of Assembly for 2 or 3 terms, and he's chairman of a very powerful board now. He's been a lovely guy. He has been to see me in Ekiti on a number of occasions. He has been very, very appreciative as well for how I came in to assist him at that point. We are like brothers now. Yeah.
Absolutely. As I begin to wrap
Yes.
up, I wanted to find out, number one, are you going to write a book on this your experience?
Well,
I haven't come
I'm
across
not hearing
one.
you. If you are hearing me, I can't hear you
Can
anymore.
you hear me, sir?
Hello, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me,
I
sir?
can't hear you anymore.
Okay, let me type
Hello.
it. Let me type it.
Hello.
Can you
Hello.
hear me, sir? Let me pass that on
Oh, what a pity!
before
I
I
can't
get
hear you again.
disconnected.
We've lost the. Okay, if I'm going to write a book, yes, I'm already working at doing a book. It actually it's almost completed. I guess the book will be out very soon. I'm going to do a book. I'm going to be very willing. Yeah. Are you hearing me? I can't hear you again.
Can you, Senator, can you hear me now, sir?
Okay. Okay, you are back. You are back now. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Are you hearing me? As I've said,
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
as I've said, I'm already working at my autobiography. It's a very voluminous one. It's going to be a very provocative one, and I'm not sure it is one I can push in the market now, because maybe once he has a lot to do, I think I should
Yes.
wait for a few more years, and maybe that will also allow me to calm down a bit more and retell some of the stories I've told there. Stories of betrayal, stories of all kinds of stories. I've been privy to quite a lot of things. I think I should allow things to cool down a bit more before I put my biography out there. But again, if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I put out snippets of these stories, on my Facebook page, so that the young people of now can learn from it before I come out with the book. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you hear that Abacha died? And what was excuse me? How did you hear that Abacha died? And what was your first reaction? How did you feel when he died?
I was in my solitary cell when one morning the guy in charge of my cell came to me and said that my dinner that day will come a bit late, and I asked him why. He said, well, between you and me, we are going to seal up Punch today. We already have an order to shut down Punch that has been selected as one of the people to go and effect the sealing of Punch. So, then later in the evening, he came and I said, what happened? Have you closed down Punch now? He said something bigger than Punch has happened though. I said, what is it? He said, Abacha is dead. Wow. I couldn't believe it. Was like, what kind of rubbish is this? Then there was a cell next to me where there are so many people, so many people are locked up there, and I think there were many in that cell next to me, the bigger cell in the facility. And I started hearing this song, God na elele, God na wayao, God na elele, God na wayao. Nobody
Be like nobody great like Hey, oh, God,
God na
God,
elele. So I didn't know what what happened. But I could see that it was a song of victory, a victorious song. So I then tried to relate that with the story that that I was told. And at that time, I was already very sick, suffering from typhoid, and I've lost a lot of weight, and also insomnia. You know, so from the day after, then it got clear to me that it was true that Abacha was dead. His body has been taken to Kano for burial, and I began to wait to be released. You know, there was an anxiety to be released. So third day, fourth day, fifth day, then gradually they begin to smuggle it to me in my cell. I began to hear more stories of my colleagues, those who are jailed for coup plot have been released, and I was kept there. You know, I was there for a month after Abacha died.
Wow.
And when I began, the anxiety of not being released after all this happened, with the sickness, you know, became very serious. They then brought a lady, a medical doctor, to come and look at me one day. And after looking at me, taking my pulse, you know, looking at my eyeballs and all of that, checking my vital, whatever, I just saw tears stream down her face. And I said, what is the problem? Am I dying? He said, no, I should not worry that you will prescribe medicine for me. I'll be okay and that kind of thing. I got scared that day. And I pleaded with my God that whatever it is going to take, he should please get me a paper and a pen to write my will. And I said, included in that will will be that if they have to dismiss him because of this, my colleagues take care of him, his children, education, and everything. He accepted. Then he brought me the paper, you know, and I wrote my will, you know, what, you know, should go to my wife, my children, how to take care of my parents and all of that. And I gave it to him. And I said, you should take it to Olisa Agbakuba, who was my lawyer. So he took it to Olisa Agbakuba. Agbakuba then called my wife, sent for my wife. They both addressed a press conference that I was dying. It became the lead story in most of the papers on that of the following day. And I think that was when General Abdullah Abubakar now set up a committee. And I think I was told, I've not confirmed it, that committee was led by Nasir El-Rufai, the present governor of Kaduna State, to search for me wherever they could find me. Meanwhile, in the record available in the villa then, it was said that I've been released because the Pope came to Nigeria to plead for pro-democracy activists and journalists detained. So Abacha played a 419 on the Pope, sent a list of names and other fake names to him. Contained in that list was my name that had been released from detention. So that when they look at that list, when they came in, they thought I was no longer in detention. So so that was how I think they located me in Ikoyi. I was in my cell one evening at about 5 p.m. The lady in charge of the entire operation there, a very wicked woman, our story is going to take a chapter in my story, you know, you know, came into my cell and said he would like to see me. They took me to our office and said, Babafemi, do you hate me for what I've done? I said, no, I don't hate. Do you forgive me? I said, well, forgiveness belongs to God, you know, but I cannot forget what you did to me here. Because whenever I fall sick, you refuse to allow them to take care of me, give me drugs or whatever. So he said, well, we have an order from the villa to release you, but you need a guarantor. I thought he was playing tricks. You know, I said I don't have anybody in Lagos who could stand for me. The only person who could stand for me was my dad in Ado Ekiti. If you would like, I can call so that I can come to Lagos tomorrow and come and stand for me. He said, no, they cannot wait till tomorrow. That, well, we are going to grant you bail on your self-recognizance. So he gave me 500 naira and asked one of his aides to escort me to Ikoyi Road to look for a taxi to take me home. He didn't even, you know, he was not generous enough to even give a car to take me to my house. So my clothes was torn. I had a huge afro and a huge beard. And the only thing dignifying about me physically was my eyeglasses. I had a bedroom slippers. He gave me a bedroom slippers to wear. So after we stood on the road for 1 hour, he said, abandon me there. And each time I hailed a taxi to take me, They will look at me, they think I was a madman. They will drive off. So I spent like 2.5 hours on that spot, standing. Then the Kabu this unofficial taxi just stopped and looked at me. I said, "Where are you going to?" I said, "I'm going to Ikeja." He said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Babafemi Ojudu." "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a journalist." What are you doing here?" I said, I've just been released from detention. He said, "Where is detention?" Because you couldn't even know that there's a detention in that place at all. He said, "Are you sure you are Babafemi Ojudu?" I said, "I'm Babafemi Ojudu." I said, "Who is your general manager in your organization?" I said, "Mr. Idowu Obasa." He said, "Do you know Mama Rasaki?" I said, "Yes, that's the cleaner in my office." He said, "I'm Mama Rasaki's husband."
Wow.
And then he asked me to come in, and then he started talking to me what has happened, how Abiola died, and all of those things, and then drove me to my house that night. That was how I became a free man. By the time I got in, my 2 young sons, they came out to the living room. When they saw me, they ran back and said, "No, this is not our daddy. This is not our daddy." I've changed completely.
And have you met some of those people that perpetrated those things to you in recent years? And how do they feel? Because did they have a heart? These people that do all these things.
Yes. On the eve of Bola Tinubu's inauguration in 1999, the woman who was wicked to all of us suddenly came in to the living room in the governor's lodge in Marina. And there with me that night was Tinubu and Ayo Padokun, who suffered a lot of indignities in the hand of that woman. Ayo Padokun rushed at her, wanted to beat her up. And I ran, grabbed Ayo Padokun. Tinubu started asking, "What is the problem? What is the problem?" And I said, "Look, this woman really dealt with all of us pro-democracy people while we were arrested." Tinubu now said, "Woman, for what you have done, I don't want to see you in my house. Please never, ever, ever come here again. Please go and tell your bosses that I don't want you to come around me." That was how, the woman left. Then one day again, I was going to board a flight to Abuja, and I saw her on the queue while we were trying to board. I went and I tapped her shoulder. I said, "Madam, hello." He said, "Hi, who are you?" I said, "I'm Babafemi Ojudu." I was already a senator then. "Oh, my brother, how are you?" I smiled, I greeted her, and then one of them, I can't even remember his name now. He's an Igala. He had this Igala trademark. I traveled to Accra on a weekend. I wanted to pick snacks at Mr. Biggs. I saw him coming out of his car. I approached him and I said, "Hello, how are you? Did you remember me?" He said, "Who are you?" I said, "Babafemi." I said, this one too was particularly wicked, brutal. And I mean, it's I was in the cell one day and he was beating somebody. I think when they went to arrest Ayo Padokun in I think May 1 or May 2, 1998, after a riot in Ibadan. When they got to the house, they called Ayo Padokun. The cook, the chef, was so outraged, and he gave one of the people who went to do that arrest a headbutt. So they brought him to the cell. They beat the hell out of that guy. Blood was gushing from his mouth, his nose, and everywhere. This guy was responsible for doing that. One day too, when they wanted to cut away the woman from Sierra Leone, who they have locked up for almost 2 years, she's stripped her naked. I was watching from the window of my cell. He stripped the woman naked, bare naked. That day. So I mean, look at people like that. There are a few good ones who I later assisted. Who assisted one way or the other. Who at those periods, if someone if you wake up and you are being taken to the toilet and just said, "Don't worry, you'll be okay," that for you is like a huge dose of tonic, for your spirit at that time. So you remember those people for the good they have done. In fact, one just called me 2 days ago and said he has retired. He's in Mina, and I asked him to see me whenever he's in Abuja here. He was a good guy. And so that was the experience. It was a nasty one. I mean, and a lot of people suffered. I mean, I remember the case of a woman who in 1998 had bid to who lives in Paris. 1988 was the year of World Cup He came to Nigeria to bid to feed eagles, to feed a to feed the eagles then in Paris.
Great Eagles.
So yes, I think somebody who competed against her for that contract then wrote a fictitious petition to the security that it was Soyinka's girlfriend and that Soyinka was the one who sent him to Nigeria. They picked her up, they locked her up in a solitary confinement. That woman cried day and night that she didn't know Soyinka, she has never met Soyinka. She's a caterer in Paris. She had only come to bid to cook for Nigerian team in the World Cup in Paris. It took Chief Tos Benson. I think the woman was a relation of Chief Tos Benson. Chief Tos Benson, stormed the facility one day, cursing everybody, and shouting and saying that he was not going to leave until that woman was released. I think they had to, contact the authorities in Abuja. They finally released that woman and she left. There was also the case of a Nigerian young guy. That was a very sad one. His mother was a Nigerian and his father a German. He was a PhD student, almost completing his PhD from the story I had. He had a dreadlock. He came to Nigeria. He said he wanted to visit Nigeria. He's had a lot about Nigeria, but the mother was late. He wanted to come and know Nigeria and be able to, search out, the family of his mom. Then he got to the airport and started taking photographs. They pounced on him and called him an agent and brought him to the cell. The guy cried and cried and cried. I encountered him in the morning when he's been taken to go to the toilet or to go and have a shower. He kept crying that until the German embassy came to secure his release. And I learned that he vowed never in his life
never to come to Nigeria again.
to come to Nigeria again. So I have several cases like that, of people who are maltreated, who are abused, who suffered a great deal in the hand of those security men. Sakari was particularly notorious. He was particularly notorious and wicked. He made life uncomfortable for people like Dr. Fasheun, Chief Olufalaye, and Chief Brojayi Olabiyi. All those old men suffered in his hand. When I saw him, was it in 2007? When was it 2011? When we proposed Buhari for president of Nigeria, I was put in charge of managing his affairs then, and he came in and we housed him at a Protea Hotel in GRA Ikeja. I was in the suite with him when Sakari Biu came in. I also rushed at him, and what's his name now? The EFCC guy, Nuri Badu, that saved him from me. And he now, tried to talk to him and talk to me and ask me to forgive and forget. And that was how.
And the challenge, sir, is that there are people who are still doing those things today. And so you see a protest and you see some overzealous policeman or security agents, they will go and start carrying gun. And, or even as much as this a little last smart guy will just come, try to, overzealous than what they have been said.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the training. I think, and also the code of behavior. We need to review all of these things. It's either you have a democracy or you don't have a democracy. You can't abuse people's rights under democracy. It's wrong. You have to treat people like human beings. We all have witnessed what has happened in America in the last 1 week. When an armless individual was killed in such a barbaric manner. We have all of that happening here every day at little or no provocation. People are shot, people are killed, people are maimed. People are locked up, and just because you cannot give a policeman 5 naira, you are arrested, you are locked up, you are framed, and that kind of thing. So, I think we need to look at that. Our lawmakers should do something about. These are the kind of things that should engage our lawmakers. How to overhaul our laws, our processes, our codes, and how to, ensure that people who trampled on other people's rights are made to, to suffer some kind of punishment.
Consequence.
You cannot, you cannot call it democracy democracy where people's rights are abused, at will, incessantly. It's just not right. Yes, you are there to maintain law and order. Yes, but a man, deserves respect. You have to uphold his rights on the even when he has been found guilty. He still has a right under the law. Where you keep him, the prison where you lock him up must be humane. He's there not to be dehumanized. He's there to be reformed. So why should you maltreat people? Why should you beat them? What right have you had to start slapping citizens of a country, to start beating them with the butt of a gun, to start throwing them in cell when they've not committed any verifiable offense and all of that? So I drive on the road sometimes. I see the way the police, the army treat people, and I shudder. Someone will just take out his thick belt and start whipping a fellow citizen just because you are in uniform. It's not right. So our military authorities, our police authorities should do something about this. I mean, it's just not good enough. Yeah, in a democracy.
Absolutely. Distinguished
Yeah.
Senator, it has been an insightful conversation. I really have enjoyed the last 1 hour, 30 minutes, and we're so grateful. We're so grateful. We're so grateful for your time and the things that you've shared with us. A lot of people have been watching,
Yes.
and I'm grateful for them for sharing their time. I know that this video is going to be on YouTube so that people, generation even yet unborn, can come to hear the stories of all of you who have actually paid the price in that period. Finally, you haven't mentioned any story of some of the women who played key role in the struggle. I think it would be good to end on that.
Oh, there are quite a lot of women did. Of course, you know about Kudirat Abiola. A lot of people were with us in the media then who played very key role, and both in Tell magazine, the news magazine, the leader, the editor-in-chief and the publisher of the Sunday magazine, Chris Anyanwu, went to jail for 3.5 years. She was locked up. She almost lost her eyes. I mean, it's for an offense not committed. There are so many like that. There were also those who are playing backup roles. Some who, also assisted in helping us survive in those periods, who are keeping our manuscripts, who are keeping documents for us here and there. Women in all struggles, in most revolutions, women play very key roles. They take a lot of risks. That also happened at this period of time. Many women were, worked for us. In the underground, the printing presses that we used then, they were the one collating the magazines, stitching the magazine, wrapping and packing it. One cannot but remember these people and say thank you to them. Many of them also even were the ones selling these magazines on the road. They got beaten. Many had their backs, slashed with blades, in cells where they were taken to and all of that. Women played a very glorious. I mean, Ayobe, Mrs. Ayobe, you probably know her, the lawyer.
Yeah, I think she's coming on tomorrow or next tomorrow.
Yes, which was the president of CLO, Civil Liberty Organization, also played a great role. Fumi Falana, the wife of Mr. Femi Falana, stood up, to the military authorities at that time. Each time the husband is taken away. Mrs. Ganefawemi, for example, I told you, became, did more than 10 men put together. Mrs. Tinubu, who never got to see her husband over some time period of 1 or 2 years at that critical period. All these men played a great role in our democracy. So we are all thankful to them, and we are appealing to the inheritors that they should look at the sacrifice of people and then play the game the right way. Stop stealing the people's resources. How much money do you need in life? How many houses will you sleep in? How many cars will you ride? Why must you need money? Huge amount of money for your children, and they take this money and buy cocaine with it and kill themselves. Let us invest in our people. Let's invest in our society. Let's give the best of life to Nigerians. That is what is called a democracy. Let's give them a stake. If we give them a stake, they'll come out to vote. People are not coming out to vote now in the entire Southwest. Less than 20% of voters turn out. Registered less than 20%. They are not turning out because we are not giving them a stake in our democracy. You know, all we hear is that this one has bought a private jet, he has bought a house in Abuja, one in Ikeja, one in Buckhead in Atlanta, one in two in PRA, Lagos. What do you need all of this for? Are you going to take them to heaven? Events of recent times have shown us that whatever you steal, you know, you are not going to take to heaven. You are going to be the sole occupant of your 6-foot grave, you know. So why then do you want to steal the whole world? Invest in people, invest in society, give good roads, you know, drinkable water, good schools, good medical services, you know, create a beautiful environment that you yourself can be proud of, you know. Now look at what has happened to us. We didn't have good medical care, you know, in this country. At this period, none of us could travel abroad to go and treat headache and malaria, you know, and whatever diseases abroad. We all have to resort to the little that is on the ground. If we had created better hospitals, we won't have fears. God forbid now, if anything happened to any of us who claim to be big, we have to go to those decrepit So it's that is my story.
Thank you so much, sir.
We need to think more about the people. We need to think more about majority of our people. You know, accumulation of wealth is not going to solve any problem. We are going to set ourselves up as enemy of the people, and when they will get at us, it's going to be very tough for all of us. Yes. I hope you are there. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I think I can't see your video, but I can hear you. Okay, I think we lost the distinguished senator, but I'm sure it's going to click and join us back. Please, let's be patient. It has been very insightful. It has been a very insightful conversation, but I'm sure that the distinguished is back now. It's the network. Yes, sir.
Hello? Are you seeing me?
Back now. Yes,
okay.
Yes, I have you back now.
Okay.
My final question was going to be, it's not yet Uhuru. As the sacrifice, do you think the sacrifices that you have made is worth it at the end of the day?
Oh, yes.
And how do we get to Abiola's goal, a farewell to poverty for all Nigeria?
Yes, I have no regrets at all. I think again, gains have been made. It's not all a gloomy story so far. I mean, I one can say with confidence now that if you're a journalist and you criticize the president, you go back home and sleep that day. Nobody's going to arrest you or harass you. There's a measure of press freedom now. What we don't have now is the kind of journalists that we use that freedom in a manner that we enhance our democracy. There's a big gain even in terms of our development here and there. You have some leaders doing great things. It's just that they are not yet in the majority. There are a few ones, here and there who are doing something that, should be applauded. But we need to constantly, focus our attention on our leaders, particularly at the local level. I mean, you have local government chairmen, the road in their constituency overgrown by weed. What are they doing? What are they chairmaning? The chairman of a local council, the local road in his constituency is overgrown with weed. What does it take to weed, the road, to clear the road of weeds, So you have governors who are not, who do not care about the affairs of their state. These things are wrong. You are elected to serve the people, not the people to serve you. So all of the money they come to collect in Abuja on a monthly basis, they just spend anyhow and become wealthy, more wealthier than everyone in the state just because they are voted for. That's why the Nigerian voters are disillusioned. So people don't want to come and vote again. What am I voting for? When they know that if I vote them there, they are not going to touch my life. Imagine in Lagos, in Ogun, in Oyo, Oshun, everywhere. In the entire Southwest, for example, less than 20% of registered voters came out to vote. There's a problem about that. There is a problem about that. And we all need to look at it and say, look, there's a big disconnect between we politicians, we leaders and the people who we are leading. We need to look at that. We need to look. In those days, when Awolowo contested election in the Southwest, you find him recording, 68, 70% of voter turnout. But today, it continues to decline. I'm telling you, if things continue the way it is now, The next election, we may record less than 50% voter turnout in election.
Mm.
So we need to examine some of these things. That we are not showing enough presence of mind to see that this is a problem. You know, we are just gallivanting, governors gallivant all over the place. They become big man ho, as fella will say. You know, nobody could reach them, nobody could talk to them. They are thank God, everybody will be prostrating and kneeling, rolling on the ground because somebody is a governor. The governor is not king, the governor is not God. The governor is a servant, you know. But the way our people are because of poverty and because of lack of self-esteem, the way they do behave to our governors as if they are God. You know, traditional rulers will be standing up for governor. It's wrong. Why are they traditional rulers? Why are they fathers of all? Why should you be standing up for a governor? It's not right. It's not done. You know, our culture does not allow that. And the governor will be, grinning from there to there that he's nodding it over everybody, you know. And because, I mean, they're all going there in the night, going to lie against one another, going to beg for favors and all of those things, you know. So there is a problem. There is a problem, you know. We need to improve. Yes. Go on.
I once heard you talk about the fact that the people who work with you in the villa, the northern boys, can easily call their governor easily. And you say, I want to reach this northern governor, it is so easy. But the southwest governors is a challenge.
No, I mean, it's just take, a phone call from a young, SA to his governor in the state for him to begin to shout animatedly on the phone, you know.
I think we lost your audio again.
That's even if you know the number.
Okay,
anymore,
I can hear you.
You know, so it's there is a big,
no, we lost what you were saying, sir. Can you say that again, sir?
The north will sit down. Are you hearing me? Yes, they will sit down.
Yes, we can hear you now, sir.
They will eat. They will do everything. They will speak their languages.
I think distinguished fund is having a challenge. I think it's about time actually that we wrap up, but that was just too insightful. That was, the stories, it was very dramatic. Distinguished is back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. You were talking about the governors and the young people calling their governors.
Yes, I think we are too far and distant from our people in the Southwest. I don't know how that started, you know. I mean, I cannot understand how that started. I've tried to look at history to be able to look at the origin of this arrogance of power among our people, that people cannot approach them, traditional rulers cannot approach them, colleagues, cannot approach them, other people on the street cannot approach them. It's wrong. That's not governance. That's not, see the way Biden goes about the street embracing people, shaking their hands and talking to them animatedly, That's how leaders relate with their, with the people. But this arrogance of power that we see in the Southwest, I don't know how it started. It's not like that in the North. I've seen governors in the North relate with their people, speaking local language with them, talking with them, eating with them, doing things with them. No, rather, our people like to deal with Lebanese and Indians, and lately with Chinese people. They prefer those people than their own people. How will you build, good contractors in the Southwest? If you will not give a job to a fellow Southwest person or a fellow Nigerian, you always prefer to give job to foreigners. I remember one day when Bola Tinubu was governor in Lagos. One of our leaders sent a Lebanese to him, and right in my presence, he called the leader and said, "Look, sir, I will never again, take a note from you from any Lebanese. Don't you have your fellow Yorubas in your area? Don't you have Yorubas in your town that I could help? Why is it always China? Why is it always Lebanese and Indians? I don't want to do that again." Saying that at that time. When you look at the times of Awolowo, they built contractors who became very good builders. Bangboye and Co. There was the man from Okemesi, a big contractor, built, great roads at that time. They consciously went out to build capacity. But here, if you take account of all the works, all the major civil works going on in the Southwest, most of them are done by Chinese and Lebanese. not by our people. You know, what kind of governance is that? It's not right. It's not right. Some of them have universities in their states. Those universities have departments of civil engineering. When they want to test the soil, when they want to, you know, they will take consultancy, they will go abroad and bring their consultants to come and test the soil. Meanwhile, they are spending money on the civil engineering department in the local universities there, you know. So you look at this and say, look, are you people, you want to develop, are you elected to develop our society, or you are just elected to grace, you know, in our society? Yes. I mean, somebody has just, Oni and Son, a local contractor, became a huge contractor under Awolowo Akitola government, and even under the General One government. You know, there are several people they built up at that time. They became multi-billionaires because of the job they did locally here. Our people, because of the fraud they want to commit, they rather go and look for a Lebanese, look for a Chinese, look for an Indian. Lately, I've even seen some going to Iraq to go and bring Iraq contractors. It's wrong. It's irresponsible. And I mean, I'm seeing that's very sad. You know, okay, tell me, since 1999, you know, tell me in the name of 5 indigenous contractors that our people have empowered. You will not find them. It's not, you will find them. You will not. So we can't grow in that way. We can't. So all the technical hands are brought in from China, from Lebanon. You know, it's only the ones carrying the pans and hoes that you see. You see them employing among our people. So, and then all of those people who are trained, you know, to be civil engineers, to be builders. So where would they garner the experience to do, you know, the experience if we are not employing them? Yeah.
Nia Dilusola says that the reality of our relationship in the Southwest started from the days of our leaders, Awolowo and Co. We are always competing with ourselves, while the Southeast and the North would rather share prosperity among themselves. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator Babafemi Ojudu. Thank you to all who are watching. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We're so much grateful for your time, sir. And we pray that God will continually bless you and take you to higher heights in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much. Hello to your family. Have a great week ahead. God bless you.